Hey, this is Guido Anchovies, and we're back again, and we have to go to Apocalypse's secret underground lair that's in a pyramid temple. But first we have to get into it, which is a bit long. There's basically this stage, and you've just seen what the entire thing is. It's running back and forth, having boulders being dropped on you, and dealing with mini tusks. So you can pretty much assume who's throwing those boulders at this point. Really, that's the point where you're likely to get hit by boulders, is anytime you're going up. Luckily, they put a lot of health in this level so that it's not that unfair. And you can, if you take it slow when you're jumping up on those sides, do an upwards attack, which sometimes will break the rocks instead of making them hit you. But if you do that, then you actually can make it in 2 jumps. So, yeah. I like to use Gambit for this stage because a lot of his attacks are good at hitting the mini tusks. Either you can jump and throw cards diagonally, jump and do a downwards attack. Pretty much everything except for his crouching attack is good against them. Magneto, this is the first stage where you get him, but he is the worst for this stage. He walks very slowly. He's just generally not someone I would use. His jump's really floaty, so there's not enough time. And he's awful. And so this is the loop that you keep tusking to beat him. And mutant powers don't work if you do them from range. And when he's not in the pattern, he's usually invincible for all the times that he's not doing nothing, basically. So if he's spawning mini tusks or throwing a rock, you can't hit him. And usually the only time where he actually pauses and does nothing is after charging. So, I mean, when you're playing this as a kid, you think that you should use mutant powers on everything, but this boss is something where you definitely do not. But he is very simple. And now that that's out of the way, I usually wouldn't use Magneto for this level. I'd use someone like maybe Beast or Wolverine. But I'll show him off. He can float if you hit A while you're in the air, and this is his regular attack. You can shoot it in any direction. On the ground, of course, and that's his mutant power on the ground, which isn't that good when it's not up to yellow health. But once it is, it's actually very useful. And so with Magneto, you usually have to go through levels very slowly. A lot of the times you just inch forward to get the right angle on hitting someone that can't get to you. If you take it slow, he is probably the safest character. And there is definitely one of the last levels of the game. He is very good at progressing through very slowly. That's kind of what you can expect from Magneto sometimes, is close quarters he is useless. You really just have to angle everything up from far away. Also, that has very far reach. And is, I believe, as powerful as most of the other mutant powers when they're charged up. So, I mean, that is pretty much the best mutant power in the game. Unless, you know, you're on a time budget for whatever reason. Which doesn't happen too often in this game. Yeah, here we see the rollers, which are one part of why I would usually use a faster character, but as you can see, they're not really any threat. It's just, you can actually hit those switches more than once, too. If you wanted to, for some reason. I mean, there is no reason, but yeah, be Magneto, take it slow. And oh yeah, his standard attack when he shoots the little balls of energy, those do not do more damage when he is in yellow health. Only his magnetic orb thing, and also the energy blast that he shoots himself are not as powerful as his hand area. If you touch his hand to something, it counts as a physical attack. So it's the same power as everyone else's stuff. It doesn't come into play too often, but you can break those in 2 instead of 3, those columns. Also right there you can bypass going through there with Magneto. The orb, the magnetic orb thing, actually it will go through walls, and in both when you're directing it and when it explodes, where it will damage. So there really isn't that much to say about this level. It's almost done at this point. But I would still say the game's it's tapering off in fun right now, I'd say. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. I've definitely gotten this far as a kid. I probably got to a little bit after where I got in this video when I was a kid and I would play this game. Of course, I've beaten it now, but just for reference sake. But yeah, the Magneto that we saw in the fight against him, where he had basically invulnerability and crashed through walls and could fly forever. I guess maybe that's because Avalon was rigged with magnets, because that's the only way you can explain anything Magneto does is, oh yeah, no, there's magnets. If there's physicists, they usually aren't too pleased with anything having to do with Magneto's powers. I don't know if in recent comics if it's gotten better, but I know it's especially bad in the late 1960s, early 1970s comics that have Magneto in them, in the Uncanny X-Men. I guess it wasn't called that yet, or maybe it was. I don't know. We'll use Psylocke here again, just because I like her jumping mutant power for fighting Apocalypse. This boss fight's really long. Yeah, after a long stage. This segment of the game isn't that great. But one thing about Psylocke here is how long her attack takes to come out is just demonstrated there, and how it was coming out for a pretty long time and still didn't come out in time to hit the blue orbs, which is what you need to do in order to, well, in order to stop these things from happening. There's basically 2 parts of this fight. One is destroying the track thing that you're on, and the other is actually fighting Apocalypse. And so you blow up the track by, you know, hitting these blue orbs and playing leapfrog. And it takes a pretty long time. And every once in a while, Apocalypse pops out, and you hit him a couple times, and he'll just basically go away. I don't know exactly what the trigger is for beating Apocalypse. I know that I played as Magneto once and just floated after I beat the track thing, so that it was just only fighting Apocalypse. I stayed somewhere where Apocalypse could not hit me and just repeatedly hit him with the magnetic blast. And I was doing it for a good like 10 minutes, and he never went away. Because you don't defeat him, he just chooses to run away at some point. So I think when it triggers him running away, as far as I can tell, is when you're fighting him, you have to get down into danger area health and then hit him a couple times and he goes away. And it seems to be fairly consistent. I think with Wolverine, when I had yellow health and I was using his jumping mutant power to do tons of damage to him, I got him to fly away once before I had blown up the track thing that makes the bombs go around, and I thought I did it without getting my health down into a dangerous area. But as you can see in this, eventually we get to that point where I'm fighting him straight, and I hit him for a pretty long time and nothing really happens ever. I mean, the boss fight is interesting, but I've never really been a fan of boss fights that you have to do poorly in order to progress. It's a bit of a dick move, I think, honestly. There's, I guess one other interesting thing is Beast can stand, I believe, underneath the high orbs, or mines, or whatever you want to call them. God, I call everything orbs, don't I? But I believe he can stand underneath them, which is one nice thing about Beast that comes into play far later in the game, his standing animation to stay under stuff. And so now you can see that the center platform is toast, so now all we have left is fighting Apocalypse. And he's not really that difficult or anything, and I have no idea how you're supposed to, I mean, it seems like you could just fight him forever by doing this pattern where you just kind of do a figure 8. But you have to wait to attack until after he does his attack. But then once you do that, you're in the loop and you're gold. But, yeah. I really don't know how this boss works, honestly. I mean, I'm kind of just taking hits here because I know that because I'm pretty sure I know the way it works. But, I mean, even my theory is, I guess it would be more of a hypothesis, is, you know, not necessarily true and possibly even broken by my own past experiences. So, I don't know, right now I have 1 health, and he flies away now. So, I mean, that leads me to believe that's the way it works. I don't know. So next time, we get to go to the Savage Land, because Brainchild, right? Yeah, Brainchild. Which I also don't know that much about. So I'll see you then.